Welcome in, everybody. Today it is, well, it's actually 11/11, right on the nose, February 11th. I just looked how divinely synchronistic. Today I'm going to give you my deeper dive part 3 analysis of what's going on in the Nancy Guthrie case. So let's just start with, I've had a couple of people ask me how I work. For Nancy Guthrie, I have not pulled tarot. I haven't done one tarot card. I am tapping in to the energy. And I'm going to show you the video that created my belief. I always have said from the beginning that I believe that she is alive. And then when I put the astrology video up yesterday, I believe, to show you that the astrology in general is sort of suggesting similar energy. I just want to preface that's the energy in the moment. Everybody has free will, things can change, and it's just an energetic reading at the time that it's uploaded, which is why I'm giving you the times that I'm going live. So free will can happen, everything can change. And as far as the astrology, what it's not good for is timeline. So at the very end of that video yesterday, if you missed it, go watch it. I read the timeline according to the astrology, and it's, hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully the chat GTP, which is not a professional astrologers look at it, nor is it a forensic astrologer's professional look at it. Hopefully that is wrong, but I still stand behind my energy reading. I want to explain to you, I'm going to show you this reading, this video rather, and I bet you I saw it incredibly different than any of you. And why do I say that? Because I'm going by the very first energetic hit I got when this was downloaded. And I believe it came out shortly after this. After Savannah came out, we're going to watch the video pleading with everybody to please, we believe our mom's alive, please. And then TMZ reported yesterday that there was activity later in the day in the Bitcoin account. I guess this was the night before yesterday because we're on Wednesday. This was Monday night, just before the deadline. Savannah releases this. And then yesterday, Monday, or Tuesday rather, everything goes awry. There's Bitcoin activity. They're running. They've got a suspect in that they released later. But my initial, and somebody's like, why do people clickbait? It wasn't clickbait. It's not clickbait. I never clickbait. I'm telling you the energy that I read from this video was one of relief. Outwardly, of course, she's worried. Of course, there's energy of fear. This is her mother we're talking about. But the first hit I got was a feeling of relief because I believe before this video went out, she knew they had somebody on camera visually. She knew she was pleading with the public before this was going to be released because they want all eyeballs on this suspect. And I think they might have got proof of life, which is why she came out saying, our mom is alive. She still says, bring her home. We believe she's alive. And they may have gotten proof of life, which is why it was reported there was Bitcoin activity. There was a deposit made into the account. So they were zeroing in on, and likely why we will pay in that somber approach shifted into this shifting energy. Let's watch this, and I'll tell you what I'm saying.
Everybody.
Okay. So yeah, you hear it, you see it in her face, but I still feel a relief. Something behind this video came to Savannah and the family's awareness. And I believe it was that there was either a proof of life video or this video that we saw yesterday released. And she knew because I felt the relief. But it's not just the relief of making progress after having dead ends. It's the fact that she believes her mom's alive. Listen up.
Guthrie's desperate plea coming 3.5 hours before the second deadline, which was given as 7 Eastern tonight, obviously just a couple of minutes ago. Now, that's according to the original alleged ransom note, a note which demanded $6 million by 5 p.m. local time. That's 7 o'clock Eastern. according to our affiliate, KGUN. But according to TMZ, the Bitcoin account referenced in the ransom note still has a zero balance.
We believe our mom is still out there.
Savannah Guthrie.
So that video, again, I'm just showing you that for timing, showed us when this was released. I'm just trying to prove to you the timeline. Let's just keep listening.
Sitting alone makes a direct appeal to the public for help in the search for her missing mother, Nancy Guthrie. 9 days after she was taken in the middle of the night from her home in Tucson, Arizona.
We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where.
It's been 3 days since the alleged kidnapping.
And that part is legitimate. Absolutely. I'm not suggesting she's not terrified. I'm not suggesting they know where mom is, but I felt the immediate sense of we're getting somewhere. Okay, now let's move on. I just want to say, for those of you that are new, I don't ever watch other people's readings, other psychics. I don't want to know. And shockingly, some of you who know me have sent me emails asking me to look at other people's readings, which I have been stating since starting this channel just under 2 years ago. I never do. Other psychics might get other things. I'm not validating or dismissing anybody's other findings, but I can only speak to what I get energetically. So I'm not interested in other people's readings. And in actual fact, most psychics will tell you they find that kind of insulting. You don't have to get what I'm getting, but I believe what I'm getting. Okay, so asking me to look at other people's videos is like telling me, yeah, do you really believe yourself? Why don't you try looking at this approach? And I just don't do that because I don't post anything that I don't verify and tap into energetically before I say it. So who do I think this video is of? It's going to shock you because I originally said, and I still stand by this, I originally said that I felt there was a family relationship, an inner circle that would have known that there was not any backup to the cloud. We're going to watch the video in a second. And I got some first, what I did is I do it in waves. I get my first energetic hit. Who do I feel energetically? And then I looked at the photo. I analyzed the video. And I wasn't sure at first. I got to tell you, okay, I got one hit that kind of surprised me. I'm going to explain, just stick with me. And then I went back and I used some AI. I cleaned up the photo. I asked, which I'm going to show you here, AI to do a few things to few of the possible suspects, in my opinion. And oh, I'm getting goosebumps. Okay. And then I saw this suspect turn around, and the back figure really gave me a solid, the back of this person's a solid hint. And I do believe I'm going to show you a video that Ashley Banfield posted, after midnight last night, of a very, very skilled retired officer from I believe he's from Tucson, homicide detective, talk about they believe this person is wearing 2 sets of gloves, 2 masks, potentially one over the other, a deliberate attempt to conceal their appearance, and possibly 2 layers of clothes. So bear that in mind, okay? But I am talking about my first energetic hit, and it's not who I thought, because I have said, I believe Ashley Banfield's reporting, allegedly, in my opinion, I feel like there's a relational involvement here. And I'll tell you also why, because my second psychic hit, I actually forgot to mention something. I forgot to mention that I feel animosity, vengefulness, revengefulness, bitterness towards Savannah because of her money, because of her popularity, and because, if I'm right, potentially the son-in-law, Annie's husband, I'm not going to mention names, just allegedly, in my opinion, Annie's husband was and still is being looked at as per the reporting. And they can tell you all they want about, it's standard and it was volunteer and yada, yada. But yesterday, did you see it? It was nuts. It was like being in a true movie scene with JLR and all of the cops. The FBI went back after that photo was released. They went back to Nancy Guthrie's home and they were looking inside culverts. They were in the backyards. They were searching inside neighbors' homes. Why were they doing that? I think we've got two things going on here. I think they know that there is some level of possibility that Annie's husband and maybe her are involved but removed. And I had said, and I want to just forget, I got two things I want to say. So I had said that I didn't think he was the face of it. So interesting that I downloaded that. And then, to my surprise, I got goosebumps. Thank you for the validation. I do actually think that's him in the ring camera. Okay. And I do believe the FBI think it's him. And that did he walk there? A couple days ago, JLR was live streaming. And I'm going to show you that in a second. And then I'm going to go back to, I'm going to show you them going and looking at Annie's backyard. And why? Why did they go there? Because I think there's two things going on. I think they know there is a face, a person that's up front watching Nancy Guthrie. And apparently, Tommaso has not been seen for 8 days. He's rumored to have changed his looks. That's just rumor. I'm not certain of that. But he's been low key and he's not staying with Annie, Savannah, and her brother in this $millions+ gated home just off site a little bit where media can't access, close to Nancy's home. Because we saw the police show up there yesterday talking to somebody at the door and reluctantly letting them in after a while. Well, who would be there other than Thomas or Annie? And rumor is Annie's staying with Savannah. So they keep going back there because I do believe they believe, like I said, I think there is potentially the involvement there, but not the face of it. The face of it would be the people that are currently holding her, who might have helped him with the transaction. But yesterday's video, I'll tell you what I think happened. And I've said this before, okay? And then I'm going to prove to you, if you hang out with me here for a little longer, I'm going to show you what I did with the pictures. I'm going to show you what I did. And I'm going to show you a couple of videos. But let's first, if you don't believe me, you missed the JLR thing, let's watch that quickly first. Just watch this for a second.
In Annie Guthrie's neighborhood, because it wasn't too long ago where all of a sudden we saw 3 members of law enforcement go up to the door at Annie Guthrie's home and go inside the home. What's interesting about that is, from our understanding, the family is not there. It's been a number of days since the family was actually gathered there. So the question is, what are they doing there right now, and why did that happen at this point in time? Also, we are now seeing, as you mentioned, that authorities are also going to one of the neighbors of Annie Guthrie. This is a couple doors down. We saw them talking to a gentleman out there and then going inside. So very curious activity going on. Let's been
coming from a Fox report, what you're seeing right here. FBI agents and Pima County sheriffs, neighbors of Annie and Tommaso's, asking about the terrain, asking about things. I've heard them say, do you have surveillance footage? Have you seen anything suspicious? What do you have around your property? Can we take a look? Things like that around Annie and Tommaso's.
Okay, so you heard it. Ashley Banfield also reported it, but there was someone at the door. You couldn't see the person at the door, and they did let them in. So who's at the house? Is somebody else watching the house? Is Tomas there and Annie's with Savannah? That's what I think, but of course I don't know. So now let's talk about the video. Okay, let's talk about the video. I'm going to give you my initial hits on the video that was released of the person walking up to the ring camera. Let's watch it. So let's watch it together. Goes back. Look at. Okay, grabs flowers, and it's amateur hour. We're good. I'm going to watch this a couple times. I commented about it a couple times, but it's amateur hour. Okay, you can see likely 2 layers of gloves, right? You can see likely 2 layers of gloves. Look at that. Okay, look at the posture here of bent over. And I want you to pick up, because when that person first came into view, I actually looked to see if I could find out how young Annie's and Thomas's son would be, but I couldn't find it because it did feel like younger energy at first. But then when this person turns around, I want you to see the outside of the body's figure and tell me if you feel like this person has a bit of a back arch, a bit of a lean on one side, and is possibly a little older. Let's watch. Right there. Again, I'm going to play this a couple times, and I'm going to show you why, even though the face doesn't look like who I've said, I'm going to show you what I did. But look at right there, right there. Okay. That is where I see the outline of a heavier set man. This is absolutely a male's energy. I know some people think that it could have been Annie herself that put a mustache on. I don't get the vibe. I'm picking up energy. Let's watch some more. They've got their flashlight in their mouth. I don't know why that was so hard for people to tell. I could tell that was pretty obvious right from the get-go that they put a flashlight in their mouth. They're trying to block their face. Now, there's some interesting video, if you stick with me here, of this Ashley Banfield's interview of a police detective. And I think he's bang on. We're tired. Bang on. And it explains so much here. So you can see the footage. You can see. Now, there's also a video that's come out that shows lights in the background of a car. We'll show that in a bit too. Okay, but here's the part, the pieces that stuck out for me. Okay, right there. This is the profile of a heavier person, a little bit heavy, maybe double closed, yes, but I really pick up the frame here. Elder a little bit, leans to one side, and look at the knapsack. Okay, that knapsack is filled to the brim. Some people have said possibly clothes, a change of clothes. However, what I see is hard lines. Here's what I feel like happened. It's my theory, my opinion, allegedly only based on the energy I'm picking up. I don't know because I didn't research, but I suspect if this is who I think it is. And I also said that I don't believe that Annie was not aware of this at the very beginning. I'm not 100% clear on that, but I think she would definitely be suspicious now if she wasn't involved. And that I'm not 100% clear on, but I do feel Thomas allegedly, in my opinion, is. And here's what I see. The more I think about what I'm about to say to you, what I do feel potentially has happened, or what was intended to happen, the more I think about what I'm sensing and what I'm going to say to you. Oh, and this is just going to you got to keep coming with me here on this journey, because this is going to be a little bit longer video. And boy, oh boy, is there some things to watch. I do believe in this bag is a laptop. A laptop, possibly a change of clothes. Some people were saying some hardware to tie her up with. You could do that with duct tape. And I don't think with a gun, you need necessarily a lot of hardware to tie her up. But I do believe there's a laptop in here, among other things. I do believe the plan, allegedly, in my opinion, given who I'm saying this is in the camera, was, and a lot of people are reporting, look at how casually, I'll play it as I talk for a little bit. Look at how casually this person strolls up to the camera. They stroll up casually, and they also know, let me go back to this. They also, when they first come up, walk up with their head down, like they know there's a camera there, right? And they've gone to great lengths to try to conceal themselves from this camera, as we're going to watch later on. But let's just suppose there was some financial challenges in Thomas's life, and they were set to receive a certain amount in their will. And they wanted the will changed today, now at gunpoint, instead of waiting for Nancy Guthrie to pass. That's my theory. I think there was a thought that it would happen, no problem. And I think that something went wrong during this planned. This guy's casual. He's not too stressed out. He's got a gun that's not professional. It doesn't even, it looks like it could be a dollar store gun in that holster, but it's not. It just doesn't seem to fit the holster, according to some reports. And look at the bag now. Look at the bag. And there, right there. I mean, I can tell you energetically, I'm tapping into the energy of that person. Okay. The more I watch it, the more I feel like, and I'm going to show you some more. So hypothetically, the plan doesn't go as planned. Were there other people there? Yes, I believe there were. And I believe those other people then took her and are holding her. And I've said, I felt like there's a father-son energy there. Or maybe I didn't send it. We were asked to do a report for the Find Me group that was going to go to the FBI yesterday. And I did submit that in that report that for the Find Me group that Kelly Snyder, the founder, sent us, that I believe I've tapped into the people that are holding her. Am I right? Time will tell. There's not a psychic in the world who is 100% right. I can tell you that definitively. When I first passed the psychic group test, I passed with 80% accuracy. That doesn't mean with things that have happened in my life with the last few years, if you know me, that I was running it at that level of accuracy. But I do feel like I'm back on my game. So am I right about everything? No, there's nobody ever right about everything. But I do feel, in my opinion, energetically, something went wrong, that there may be a father-son. That went out in a video earlier. I showed you location involved in tangentially holding Nancy, because he has to account for his whereabouts. He couldn't have just disappeared holding her. And I felt there was a battle about the ransom note, whether to do that. And I think that was definitely coming from the people involved, but more as if a diversion tactic to get the focus away from us, right? Tommaso. That's what I thought. That's what I feel. And we heard it this morning from another gentleman that, again, Ashley Banfield reported on, which I'll show you soon. And so I think it didn't go as planned. The plan was awry. I think, and I said, I think Nancy attempted to either run or get away and was injured and then was removed from the home because it didn't go as planned. Now, why do I think the police also think this is Tomas? Because a couple of days ago, as I started to say, on JLR's stream, one of the guys that's running, I think his channel is 857 or something, was back there with JLR, and he came up to him and he said, look, did you know that there is a trail, a pipeline, like in a ravine that you can walk to all the way from Nancy's house to Annie's house, or from Annie's house to Nancy's house. And there's big culverts and there's a big ravine there. And then look at what this person is wearing. They look like they could have been ready for a hike. So I think, again, police are still looking at him, hence why they were there yesterday, scouring the neighborhood, looking at all the neighbors, interviewing neighbors in their houses, looking in the culverts, walking in the backyards after releasing this photo, because they wonder if he walked there. Did he come back, or did he dispose of the body? This narrative, Reeve ruled the family out. No, they likely have a suspicion, but have yet to be able to prove it. And they know they didn't operate alone. And so they're looking tangentially for who might be holding Nancy. That's just my opinion. Now I'm going to show you some of the pictures and what I did. Okay. So let me just tell you, I did this for 3 different people. Okay. And I started with Mr. You know who in the picture here. Okay. I simply asked, as you can see, ChatGPT to please add a full cotton face mask over this man's face. Now, I also want to tell you, I can see the outline of this beard on the mask. I'm going to show you in a minute. But look at the eyes, okay? A lot of people are saying his eyes are bushy, but there's a line there. Look at how manicured they are. Look at the eye. It looks like he's wearing eyeliner. Look at the dark, okay, in the eyes. That's this. All I did was ask this picture of Tomas to be covered up in a face mask. And then I add, hey, make gray mask gray, dark setting at night, please. And this is what you get. Now, let's see if I can pull up this picture beside the one. Let me just see if I can do that. I don't know if I can do that. Beside, no. Okay, let me pull up my phone then. Let's pause for a second. I'm going to pull up. Wish I had so much better such better technology. But look, okay. There, now we can see the eyebrows, but there's also a distinct, I mean, the lighting is different, the angle is different, but there's some features that I'm going to talk about that before I got to this that I noticed, okay? And that is when you look at this masked picture here. Not this one. I'm trying to pull up the one that I can see in the lighting of. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I'm trying to find it because I've taken so many to see. I wish I had a better plan here so that I could, let me just remove, make this a little bit, oh, wrong one. Wrong one. Okay. Now, this person has no hair on their top. They're bald. Okay. But you probably can't see it here, but I can see it. And you probably can't see it here, but I can see there's a shading and an outline. Yeah, you can kind of. Look at how it's lighter under the eyes and the nose, and it's darker on the sides. I think that's a beard. That's just me. I believe that's a beard. Okay. You can see the shading difference on the side. Okay. I believe that's a beard. And other people have commented that you can see, let me go back to this original picture, that you can see up close the part of the beard. Let me just go back to it, of his beard. That you can see this little goatee looking thing, and then there's a space here. Okay, I've heard others comment. So I did the same thing with the band member, and I did the same thing with Annie, and I don't get the same feeling because I could see a little bit of the droopiness in the eye here from the actual photo of the suspect, right? So yeah, so I did that for all of them. I've asked AI to remove the mask and clean it up, but I've gone over my requesting time allowance for those requests for another day or so. What else do I want to say? Let me just, oh yes. Something came out for Strategic Eyes, which I'm going to just show you quickly. In 2025, when this house was purchased by Annie and Tomas, the new home that they're in now, Annie had power of attorney over Tomas, complete power of attorney, so that he didn't need to sign anything. I was in real estate for 25 years. That would only happen if capacity is concerning, like their mental fortitude is concerning, or they are not physically able, like out of town, out of country, to sign something. But I mean, I've done deals where people are overseas, man, and that power of attorney, in order to facilitate that, would happen very infrequently. Very infrequently. What happened? Is there a connection? I'm not so sure. Watch it now as Strategic Eyes explains to us what he found. He is a current detective. Let's watch this clip quickly. Okay, let's watch his research.
Gentlemen, we put together this kind of like infogram kind of thing here, kind of like explain who these folks are. It appears that they weren't together. I mean, we see some interesting stuff here that you don't really see couples do. All right, especially like how they're buying a property and stuff like that. You know, this is interesting here. I want to know the dynamics between Annie and Tommaso. All right, and there's not a lot of information that's available out there because guess what? If Savannah was in Annie's position, we would have so much information on Savannah. You have people talking about.
Okay. We don't know what was going on. Were Annie and Tommaso about to separate? Was Tommaso about to be removed from the will? Hey, we don't know. But I want you to read. I'm going to show you. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to remove myself and make myself small so you can read this. Okay. Annie and Tommaso bought the house that they currently live in March of 2025. And at the same time, they sold their previous home. Annie got power of attorney so she could sign the paperwork without Tommaso present. That POA paperwork has nothing to do with Nancy Guthrie. No, it doesn't, but does it? That's all. That's all I wanted to show you here. It's something to think about. What's going on in the background that we don't know about? Now, I know power of attorneys. I've been down there that road with my dad. Just in case you weren't sure, the man that was detained was released. I don't know if you saw that, but they did detain somebody last night and he was released. And I also want to just show you here, just to show you that it's true. This story was also run Tommaso Sione's power of attorney in focus amid Savannah Guthrie's mother's kidnapping. Okay, the story's out there. Oh, I forgot to show you. That would be very helpful, wouldn't it? There it is. Okay, so there it is. So it's not like this is the only reporting of this. Now, I want to just do a couple of other things. I want you to watch, because I think you probably know that they did actually detain somebody yesterday and then they released them. Watch this quickly.
Inside the house that is now being searched where this subject lived, we're told. There was a traffic stop close by. This is the subject being questioned in the Nancy Guthrie investigation. This is Josephina. Yes. This is her house.
This is all late last night. Late last night.
Son-in-law. Yeah, is that right? Yeah. Tell me how this happened. Where was he when he was detained?
My daughter and him were, and the kids, my grandkids, were doing DoorDash when they got stopped here, and I don't know what kind of questions they asked them. But when we got home, I wasn't at home. When we got home, we found out that they took my son out. They went inside. They busted the doors from my house. They went inside, and
now they went south. I gave a location north of Tucson. We have yet to see if I'm right. Who knows? Could be wrong. That's just my, at this moment, my sense, my energetic hit.
Took my son to the living room and had him handcuffed, and then got him outside. That's when the time that we got home, and we asked what was going on, and they couldn't say anything. And they said, and I asked him to have a search warrant to go in my house, and they said we don't need a search warrant. We could go do that if we want to. So I told them, yeah, I think you need a search warrant. Why did you break my door? You took my son the wrong way. I mean, you hurt him. His wrists were with the handcuffs.
Let me ask you, were you familiar with the Nancy Guthrie
No.
case? Had you seen that she was missing?
Like I told you, I saw it on Facebook, but since I don't know her, I didn't read what was going on.
See, there's a lot of people. I even had somebody criticize me. How can you not know about the Epstein? Like that Savannah's, I don't know. There was some sort of claim that this is associated to Epstein. It's like, I'm Canadian. And I have zero interest in that case. To be honest with you, I haven't covered it. It's just disgusting. It's not the real issue. The real issue is kids are being trafficked out of this North America, this part of the world, all around the world, and are not being rescued appropriately. That's the real issue for me. That's just, smoke and mirrors. But anyway, moving on. To prove the point, some people don't know, are oblivious why they're putting the billboards up, why they're doing everything that they can, to try to bring awareness to this case in case somebody recognizes anybody in association with this case. Let's just keep watching. The son-in-law comes on, and then I want to show you a really brief but spectacular assessment from a guest of Ashley Banfield's in a bit after this.
Did they take electronic devices at all? Did they take your phone?
I don't have anything. They took
your
my phone. They took my phone, my husband's phone, my daughter's phone, my grandkid's phone, and my son-in-law's phone.
Let me show you these pictures really quick, Josefina, of, just give me a second, I got to pull them up on my phone. These are the pictures from outside Nancy Guthrie's house. This is who they're looking for. Do the eyes look like your son-in-law at all?
No, not at all.
Do you see the mouth?
Yeah, no, he doesn't look that at all.
Brian, can you ask what her son-in-law's
what's
name
his
is?
name?
It's Carlos. Carlos Palazuelos.
Sorry, what's his name?
Carlos. Okay. Now, did you see the video where he was released, right? Because it wasn't him. It wasn't him. So they were all over last night. JLR, it was insane. And like I said, it was like I was up, like I'm literally watching this unfold and like trying to stay awake, falling asleep in my chair watching this. Was so crazy. Here they are detaining this person, this mother we just heard from, son-in-law.
Yeah, to that end, Bill, Kash Patel said they were looking at persons, plural, of interest. Is that just a figure of speech, or do you think he means more than one person is being looked at in the context of eventually being labeled as a person of interest?
I think the director, certainly.
Look at this.
Case.
Look at this.
I do, Carl.
Look at the head down. This person knew they were coming in and were going to be recorded. They knew there was a camera there, proving my point. Okay. The last thing I want to say is this gentleman, let me just see, was interviewed. It was a brilliant interview by Brian Anton, of course. Brian's out there doing all the amazing work as other reporters are. But let me just pull up. Did you see the gentleman who was detained and then released? He doesn't want anything to do with this case. Obviously, he has nothing to do with this case, allegedly, because they would have kept him longer because they have the legal right to. Because apparently they got a warrant after detaining him to search the house and then released him. So if you didn't see that, I'm going to show you 30 seconds because that's not the focus of this. And I want to take you to a brief 2-minute clip that you will find fascinating. Watch this. I just forgot to show you briefly that I also did this with Annie. So just wanted to show you that. I removed the glasses and add a mustache. Just wanted to show you that. Okay, now let's just find a really quick video of the gentleman that wants nothing to do with this and wants to be left out of this Nancy Guthrie case that they did detain. Look at his facial features.
Okay. What were they asking you about?
Where my whereabouts.
Okay.
Where do I work? Where was I and all that. But
Are you ever up in Tucson?
Yeah, I work in Tucson.
What do you do?
GLS, deliver packages.
Okay. Do you think you
See,
might
look
deliver
at,
a package to Nancy Guthrie's house?
I don't know. My
you see, they must also see the beard on the side. They must also see this goatee style look because look at, he has the same facial hair. Just saying. Just saying.
been a possibility. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you ever deliver like Amazon packages or anything?
Well, that's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. So do you think you may have? Did they indicate that you might have been on her property? You're not sure.
Nah, they just came up. They until
Now, we know there was an Amazon package delivered and spotted at the residence. Did he have anything to do with that? And hence he has the facial hair. Could be very likely, potentially, but they released him. Now, the last most incredible to me clip, because, you know, when you see, like I did yesterday, them all around this other guy, I'm like, am I wrong? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? And then only to find out it's normal to question yourself when you put yourself out there like this energetically. But this morning made me realize, I think this guy's right because it feels right and it looks probable. So listen into this.
Let's go to the granular, right? Everything that a real homicide detective with decades of experience saw in those videos today. Here's Paul Holes. Paul, what is your assessment of the absolutely remarkable videos that were released by the FBI?
Yeah, you know, I was not surprised that they actually had this video because my understanding was that Nancy did not have a subscription and therefore nothing was recorded. But having worked, you know, in law enforcement, it was like, well, you know what, this video is going to be cached on Google's, you know, web servers. So my assessment is that the FBI probably has had this video for some time. It doesn't take that long. They have a great working relationship with
Although
Google.
there's some reporting today that they just got it today because it took Google that long to get the residual data that was located on the back-end servers. It's possible. I don't know if that reporting is accurate, but that was something that was said today.
Yeah, no. So my assumption was they've had it for a while, but if they just got it today, obviously they thought it was important enough to release in order to start getting the public to weigh in on what they see in the video. You know, I know when I took a look at this video, and it was after you texted me, I have not been following this case in great detail, but when I saw this video, I was like, everything is wrong in this video. Everything is wrong in this video. So this is an individual. You take a look at the man in the video. He obviously has planned his strategy and his attack. He has put on layers of clothing. He has put on what I'm going to describe as a ski mask. He wants to obscure his identity. He has gloves on. He's got a backpack on, and he's got a pistol in a holster on the front of his belt. So actually, as I look at this video, there's certain things that just strike me funny, and I can't necessarily articulate for sure. But when I take a look at this ski mask or this baklava over his head, the head doesn't look right. It looks off in terms of the anatomy. And that's where I think possibly there's maybe another mask, like one of these Halloween costume masks that he's put over his face. But also in the video where you see his eyes don't look right to me. And I can't articulate why, but I'm wondering, is that part of maybe a mask? Could the facial hair seen through the mouth hole be part of a mask? Or does he have contacts in or something? I think this offender has taken steps to obscure his physical features. And that's where I believe the family has come, or law enforcement has said the family has taken a look at this and has said, we don't recognize him.
We don't recognize him. Yeah.
Well, maybe because the person has disguised themselves to a point to where the family wouldn't recognize him.
It's fascinating.
So he has put time into getting ready to commit this crime.
Keep listening.
Anytime I approach a case, I am always wanting to look at the case from the offender's perspective. What is he doing? How is he doing it? And most importantly, why is he doing it? And when I look at this video, I'm going, this is not what a real crime looks like, even though this obviously is a real crime. In this day and age, with the pervasive nature of doorbell cameras and porch cameras, the way he approaches the victim's house, he just saunters up to it. That's not what we see.
But what does that tell you about him?
Oh, I will tell you what it tells me is he wants to be seen on this video camera.
What?
He is not doing anything in this video to avoid being recorded. He is literally positioning himself so he can be recorded. And not only is he just casually walking up to the front door of the house, and then he starts interacting with the camera. Then he turns around. Now you see him in 360 degrees, and then he walks away to grab some shrubbery to try to obscure the Ring camera. You don't see that in this day and age. Criminals that are experienced, whether they're burglars or home invasion robbers, they go up and they're in that house as fast as possible. And of course, they're practiced.
Yeah, the deliberate
Or-
practice. So you're just basically what you're saying is he's bungling. It's not that he wants to be seen as a red herring. He's bungling this crime. Is that what you're saying?
Oh no, I'm not saying he's bungling at all. What I'm saying is that he is wanting the viewers of this video to perceive this crime in a certain way.
Boom. He wants the viewers of this video to perceive the crime in a certain way. Well, doesn't that match my theory? Doesn't mean it's right, but it goes to show why everybody's saying there's something off with this crime. There's something off with these letters. Diversion, diversion, diversion. Keep listening for a couple more minutes. It's phenomenal.
He is wearing what I would call a costume. Of course, it's obscuring his identity, but he also is trying to look a certain way where anybody looking at this video is going to go, that's the bad guy. And the most, I would call it, obnoxious aspect of his costume is the firearm in the holster that is on the outside of his pants, in front of his pants zipper. Nobody carries a gun like that. If you've ever done this type of crime before, or similar crimes with a firearm, you would recognize that doesn't work. Any firearms person doesn't carry their gun like that. And quite frankly, I'm looking at this going, that gun doesn't even match that holster. And I would, defer to firearms experts, but that holster does not allow the person to grab the pistol that's inside of it around the grip of the handle to be able to gain control of the gun, to pull it out in order to be able to use it. This is where this is all set up. So I look at this. He is literally just sitting there, rotating around, look at me. I am the guy that's going to go in and abduct Nancy. That's what he wants the viewers of this video to see. This is called misdirection. In my world, this is what we call staging. Staging is when an offender tries to make the crime look like something that it is not, because in the offender's mind, he thinks he's likely going to be a suspect. And so now he's trying to throw the...
Who would assume they're going to be a suspect? Think about that. Keep listening. Phenomenally interesting.
Investigation off into a different direction. I look at this video and I'm like, no, this is farcical. This is amateur hour. He is obscuring his identity. I think when I look at aspects in this video, he's got the ski mask or baklava on, right? I think he has another face mask on underneath to obscure his facial features. Through the mouth hole, you can see possible facial hair. Don't put any weight on that. That could be fake. I think he has layers of clothing on his upper body and even his lower body to hide the physique. This is all a setup. And when taken into the context of the other aspects of the crime that I'm aware of, it's like, okay, this is somebody who is so concerned that law enforcement is going to focus in on him that he's trying to make this crime look like an abduction ransom, a financially motivated crime. I'm going, that's not what this crime is at all. That's
What is
my
it then?
opinion.
What if you think that's the
Now, he doesn't think it's financially motivated. This is a trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. But there is an emotional component to this. But, he could be right. I could be right. But listen up.
deflection? What do you think the actual crime intention is?
Well, I think the actual crime was to inflict harm on Nancy. And what that harm is, I mean, there's, a spectrum of aspects. But this is probably interpersonal, depending on who this person is. It could be somebody very close, to Nancy. It could be somebody that is distant. As an example, let's say a delivery driver who has interacted with Nancy and decided, I know who she is. I want to do certain harm to her, and I know how to set it up in order to kind of misdirect the investigation. So that's where this.
I always think there has to be a benefit, right? If it's not a sexual benefit, which so many of these home invasions can be, it's a robbery. But we're not being told that there's anything that was stolen. And we certainly don't see a whole lot of space in that backpack for any ill-gotten booty, unless inside the backpack are additional bags. So what else do you see? If it's a deflection from, look, I look like a kidnapper, and that's not what I am. I want you to believe that. What else do you think this person was after?
Well, and obviously I do not want to put I definitely don't want to put anything out there that's going to cause the family any emotional distraught. I don't overlook the possibility that this was a sexually motivated crime. It could have been. We have plenty of examples of elderly women being sexually assaulted by men. This just happens. And so within law enforcement, that's something that has to be considered. However, there could be an interpersonal aspect, some sort of vendetta. There could be a financial gain. It's just that if the financial gain of maybe home invasion robbery under this set of circumstances, the dynamics of the crime didn't go the way the offender thought it would. And now he's having to kind of change his course. And instead of, I would say if this was a true planned abduction ransom ahead of time, and the offender is saying, I want financial gain, I want $6 million.
I want to stop there too. That's the other thing. Why 6 million? Why not 5? Not why 10? 6 is specific. 6 is specific. Is 6 1/3 of the estate from Nancy Guthrie? Don't know. What do you think? Let's finish up this because it's phenomenal.
He's going to discreetly communicate with the family. He's going to tell them in this communication, whether it's written, whether it's verbal, however it is, do not contact law enforcement.
Right.
Or harm will come to Nancy.
I've said that all along. It's a weird way to go about trying to communicate. Normally, you don't want law enforcement or the public to know anything about it. You want your money and you want it fast.
Absolutely.
And you want it, I mean, kidnapper ransom is a business and they're good at it. This was none of that.
It's the perspective of the offender. The offender, by communicating the ransom to the media, has complicated his life of getting.
Well, they want, in my opinion, the diversion, right? Away from the family focus, which has happened. That's just my theory. Keep listening.
His financial goal from this crime.
So let's move on from that, because I've always felt that is a secondary crime that's happening, a crime of opportunity, and a very, very, very cruel pile-on to a very sad situation for the Guthries. Let me talk to you a little bit about the mouth light. I have talked to multiple people today.
Okay, I'm going to pause. I'm going to go through this because all they do is talk about the flashlight, and I don't want to hear that because we know there's the flashlight there. At least that's, our conclusion, and that's what they come to. Let me fast forward to the last little portion here.
No, that makes sense. And it's really hard, doing that from a distance without question. I want to ask you about the backpack. Some commenters have said it looks like a biker backpack. I can't weigh in on that one way or the other, but I can weigh in on the fact that it is stuffed full. What do you know about offenders that have nefarious plans about home invasion or kidnapping or worse, and the tools that they bring? Does that backpack speak to you in any way as an investigator?
No, it stands out to me, and it looks overly stuffed, like comically overly stuffed. So I'm thinking about, okay, I'm planning on going in and abducting this 84-year-old woman. Maybe I bring bindings. Do I bring a blanket or something to roll her up in if she's unconscious in order to carry her out? Possibly. Is it possible I've got a change of clothes in case, I was seen entering the house and now I want to look different on my escape? I think all of those could account for some volume within the backpack. I've seen offenders, not within abduction, but going in to commit sexual assault, where they are bringing in video cameras, Polaroid cameras.
Let's hope he's wrong here, everybody.
They're bringing in nylons, binding material. They want to be able to set the scene up because of their particular fantasies. No idea if that's the case going on here, but when I look at that backpack, I'm going, it almost looks like a pillow has been stuffed in it to make it look huge. And this is where I go back to where this is what the offender wanted us to see. This does not look practical. This looks costume.
Okay, let's go to the very last clip now. Okay, the last couple of minutes here, and then I'm going to show you one last split-second picture. What do you think of the fact that
deputies showing up at intermittent times of day and night at Annie Guthrie's home. We've got sheriff's deputies showing up and FBI showing up, and FBI showing up at Annie Guthrie's home as well. Also at Nancy Guthrie's home, 4 miles apart, doing these intermittent searches, sometimes during the day, sometimes not. A tank underground. Some said it might have been a septic tank, had a large entry point, could have been a water cistern or a well. What do you make of all of this sort of patchwork searching? But the fact that on Monday, 30 hours after she disappeared, searches were called off completely, permanently, the sheriff said. We're calling off all searches permanently until or unless they're warranted. What do you make of all that?
Well, I would say that this is just the ebbs and flows of an investigation. The initial, response, and likely they probably had a search warrant in order to get into Nancy's house just to make things kosher. But as time goes on, and their early assumptions of what this case was may have changed. They may have new information, new tips are coming in, and they're now going, okay, we need to go back into Nancy's house, or we may need to take a look at one of the daughter's houses. There may be, information that they go, oh, it's possible that Nancy didn't survive this attack, and her body is somewhere on the property, on some other people's properties. Where could her body be hidden? And now they're going back and taking a look at that. Some of it is, this is just what ends up happening. I've had to go back to the same homicide house multiple times over the course of my career. It's just normal.
Would you be searching as well as fervently at the family member's house as the crime scene house and in the brush surrounding and canvassing neighbors surrounding? Would you be doing equal amounts of work at both of those homes?
Well, I think that there's a clue in there. And no, would I be searching a family member's house if I did not suspect the family member? No. I have to search a family member's house, I've got to go to a judge and articulate facts as to why I want to violate that person's Fourth Amendment rights. And a judge, an impartial person in this investigation, goes, yes, I think you have sufficient reason to go and do that search.
So, but interestingly, Paul, the reporting by NBC has been that Annie Guthrie, Savannah's sister's house, there was permission given to the sheriff's deputies to come in and photograph for 3 hours on a Saturday night. Others have said you would back it up with a warrant anyway to preserve your prosecution if there's going to be one. And yet Brian Enton went to the courthouse and couldn't find a warrant. Does that mean that the courthouse hasn't filed it yet? Does that mean that there just isn't one and they go on good faith and say, well, they let us in, so we'll just spend 3 hours photographing? Give me your read.
Yeah, I would say, again, it depends on the importance and the priority to their investigation about Annie Guthrie's location. I know from my agencies that I've worked for is that we would not just rely on consent for something like that. There would be a warrant. Now, under the circumstances of this case and the high profile nature, the details within that warrant potentially could compromise the investigation. So I think the affiance in that case would be asking the judge to have that warrant sealed.
And that's understandable because the warrant for the car being towed, Annie's car being towed, Megan Kelly asked for it and said it was sealed. But when Brian Enton went to the courthouse to get any kind of evidence of a warrant for Saturday night search, the court told Brian there is not one, sealed or otherwise. And that's why I'm just wondering, is it possible there's a timing, a filing issue? Is that possible? Or might it just be that homicide investigators with the sheriff's deputy decided it's okay, we just have permission, we'll just go in, wise or unwisely?
Okay. There's one last thing I want to show you. He does say, I was looking for the clip where Ashley asked him, but I'll attempt to go back in, but I don't know that I'll find it. But Ashley asked him about the eyebrows, and he says, well, brother-in-law's eyebrows are very manicured, aren't they? So I'll see if I can get that clip, but I want you to, just because you can see sort of a line in the eyebrows, and I took this is a picture of Tomas, and you can see he has this distinct looking line under his eyebrows. Look at that. And I think that might be what you see. Let me see if I can find that clip. Let me hang on 1 second. Okay, I found it, and it was because it's earlier in her video. Go watch the full video where the other guest is talking about the eyebrows. So listen up.
Might work, but when you have just eyes, you have a head shape because that clava
it's tight, no hair on top,
tight,
no hair,
and you have some glimpse of the teeth in the mouth and the facial, a little bit of mustache under here. But I just don't think it's ready. It's quite that good yet.
frustrating. I know a lot of people have said he looks like he has perfectly manicured eyebrows. I'm not so sure of that. I look very carefully at the eye holes of the balaclava, and there's a black seam all the way around the bottom. I assume that that black seam goes all the way around the top as well, or it might be a partial eyebrow. I think I'd love to get your analysis on that, whether it's just too much of a leap to say he's got manicured eyebrows.
You know, what's really interesting about this is if you've seen the brother-in-law, he has very manicured eyebrows and he's very dark. And I think this person is pretty dark and swarthy. So I don't know, unless he's got a fake, clearly there's mustache there. Yeah. And that's showing. And I think there's some chin hair showing as well, just under the mouth. So, and I'm by no means suggesting that that's definitive and that is the case. But,
But anyway, last but not least, I'll just come back to comparing as I go through my phone. I wanted to just show you the picture because I didn't pull it up in close up of Annie. Okay. Annie. I'll show you when I zoom in, Annie. See the eyes? Look at the wrinkles, the drooping eye. Compared to the picture, I don't think it's Annie. Tell me what you think below. Thank you for being here. Do the YouTube things. Love and light. Cheers.